We're going to have a very, very, very special performer sing this song.
What's better than seeing the best superstar in the world perform a song with me is to see the next best superstar that the world hasn't discovered yet. Please welcome Angelina Jordan.
Hello, Chris Walker with Big Angie Fan Channel. Back with some more news about the Toby Gad, Angelina Jordan collaboration. Just a few days ago I had a video about a couple of interviews that Toby did, and this is a radio interview which sheds more light. I have a link to the entire interview, which is on BBC Radio, and will be available for a month, and then the Angelina Jordan part of it is on my Patreon. And so I'm mainly going to focus, I'm just going to focus on the Angelina Jordan part, but first a little bit, before he gets into talking about Angelina Jordan, he talks a little bit about his musical background, and it kind of gives some insight about why he's a good fit for working with Angelina Jordan. So let's listen to that.
I want to talk about all the things that you're up to now, but I want to go back in time just for a moment, Toby, if I may.
Yes.
Because you come from a very musical family, don't you?
Yes, my parents had a jazz band, and as little kids, I must have been 5 years old, we picked up their instruments after they finished rehearsing in the living room and pretended to be a band. And then we wrote our first songs and performed them in the intermissions of our parents' gigs, and that's how we got our first pocket money.
Oh, that's amazing. I hope they paid you well for that, Toby.
Yes, my first 100 marks, I bought a whole Smurf village from it.
A Smurf village?
A Smurf village, yeah.
That's amazing that's where your money went to.
So I like, when getting more of the human side of him, and so far everything I've seen, I can't agree with the small number of people who have negative things to say about Toby. Sounds like a really great guy to me.
To a Smurf village. Good choice, by the way. Great choice. And you were going to kind of be in your parents' band when you got older, but you decided to go a different way, didn't you?
My parents wanted me to play banjo, but I wanted to play piano. I loved Keith Jarrett at the time. My mom was always listening to the Cologne concert of Keith Jarrett. And
yeah, I remember that was some jazz that I was exposed to as a kid. My mom had that album, and I listened to it quite a bit, and yeah, there's some sections of it that I found really impressive. Just, very improvisational jazz piano.
I think that was a huge inspiration for me.
Also, piano's way better than the banjo, and no offence to anyone who plays the banjo, but it is just a cooler, more stately instrument.
I agree. I saw that early on.
You were like, no, I'm not going. Banjo has too much of a comedy vibe to it,
Yes.
There's a comic undertone to the banjo, but the piano is a serious instrument,
Okay, then this next part I want to share is talking about when he first heard his songs on the radio. And I think that kind of also relates to Angelina Jordan's journey, that we're all waiting for this to happen for her.
Talk to me about the first song you wrote for an artist and what that was like.
Well, when I was 18 or 19, my brother and me, we kept writing songs all the time, but we got lucky with Milli Vanilli. Frank Farian at the time was looking for songs for the album, and we got 3 of our songs onto that album of Milli Vanilli, and we didn't know that they didn't sing at the time, but that was the first time that we could travel around the world and hear our songs on the radio everywhere. That was an incredible experience.
Do you remember what the first time it felt like when you heard it?
It just chills all over, and it feels like full circle. Wow, you do something in your bedroom, and then you hear it anywhere on the radio. It's just such a great feeling.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And there's some social media of Juliet and Angelina Jordan, kind of talking about this, about when it's going to happen. You can see that they are, really wanting it, both of them, and it's just going to be so thrilling for them, when she breaks out and, you hear her songs all over the radio. I said when, not if. Okay, then there's this last thing before it gets directly into what he said about Angelina Jordan, is the songwriting process with the song All of Me. And again, this is another thing that makes him seem like a really good partner for Angelina Jordan?
I've actually never been successful writing for artists. For me, it's always a collaborative act, and I'm usually more like the shrink. I look into what does the artist feel at this point. Like one day John Legend walked into my room and said, "Toby, I'm so in love. I need to write a love song today." And then he sat at the piano and he said, "Oh, look what I have. All of me loves all of you." And then he said, "But I don't know what else to do. This is all I have. What do we do next?" And then I sat at the piano and I thought of my wife, who I love very much. And I thought, love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. And then he wanted to get back on the piano, and then so we were just trading places at the piano, and in a very short time the song was written, and we were like two fools in love, pouring our hearts out in this song.
That sounds incredible. Just to have an insight into that process. How long did it actually take you then to write All of Me?
That happened fast, like maybe an hour and a half or so.
Sorry,
really quickly.
What? An hour and a half? When I hear things like this, Toby, my mind fails to compute it properly. And I remember when I remember the exact moment I found out that Dolly Parton had written "I Will Always Love You" and Jolene in the same night.
That's something I hadn't realized until hearing this interview. I've known that Dolly Parton is a great songwriter, but I didn't realize she wrote those two great songs in the same night. Of course, Angelina Jordan has covered both of those.
And it just blew my mind.
What a legend.
Truly. But there you are with John Legend, just an hour and a half on the piano. And I wonder, is there a time that it does take longer? And is every artist that you work with just very different? And what do you do when it's not coming through, or it's not gelling, or it's not making it, the song isn't making itself apparent?
Well, it's been a long career of years and years and writing thousands of songs, and those few songs that are still on the radio today, those are the few that survived, but then there's so many that I cry over at night that don't make it. And
this leads into his experience with Angelina
usually
Jordan.
the good songs happen quickly, and then I don't know, if a song takes more than half a day or so, then maybe it's good to try something else and ditch it.
Okay, here's the part about Angelina Jordan.
What song are you most upset that never made it? What's the song that you love that you think should have been a hit and it wasn't?
It's coming out soon, and I can't tell you yet. But
You tease, Toby. No, you're leaving us at the edge of our seats here. Okay.
Well, I can tell you the story, because this is an artist on Universal Republic in America, and I worked with her when she was 16, and I thought, oh my God, best voice ever, best artist I've ever worked with. And I did 8 songs with her in a very short time.
Now, a couple of things that are interesting about that. First of all, he does not want to mention her name. That could be some kind of bad blood with Republic Records. I don't know. But later on in the interview, he actually does mention her by name. But that's a very high praise indeed that he's giving her. Best voice ever, best artist ever worked with ever.
And I was in Lisbon last year, and I got the call from her, my EP is coming out. And I said, wow, are all our songs on there? And she says, no, none of the songs. And I had a bit of a breakdown at the time, I must admit. And
see, that to me, there's been some speculation about, whether Angelina was responsible for taking those off. And the way it was that she called him and everything, it seems to me, again, we don't know, just speculating, that decision wasn't up to her, or at least she was, strongly pushed in that direction by Republic Records. We don't know. Nice to be a fly in a wall in those, when those things are talked about.
Then I thought, what can I do to bring like those songs that are so dear to my heart, to get them out to the world? And then I started this journey, which is now an album that actually came out on Friday, and it's called Piano Diaries. I'm starting with re-recording my greatest hits, but now that this album is out, I'm going to continue this with recording songs that haven't been released yet, that I've written with my favorite artists, and some of them are superstars. Like, for instance, Donna Summer. I wrote with her before she died.
Wow.
And it's a song that I'm going to release, and there's a lot of songs. Like, if I work with I don't know, James Arthur or John Legend or so, I write 5 times more songs than actually come out, and I have them all in my drawers. And I want
Sounds
to
like Angelina Jordan with that
share them
too.
with the world. I feel some of them need to be heard.
Absolutely, they must come out with the world. And now that you've left us on that cliffhanger, I shall be eagerly awaiting. I'm trying to rack my brain of all the artists that were that age a while ago and maybe older now bringing out an EP.
It's funny because later on, when he's talking indirectly using her name, he doesn't say, "Oh, and that's the one I was talking about before." So it's still left a mystery for her that it's Angelina Jordan.
Going to be thinking about it all day, Toby.
Well, at the moment I'm on this journey with Piano Diaries, and the album, I say one more time, is out now for streaming everywhere.
Get
Piano
your
Diaries,
album now, yes, Piano Diaries.
I'm so proud of it, and in this project I'm passing the torch on to the young artists, and I have re-recorded all of my biggest songs with young artists whose voices I love, like Angelina Jordan. She's 18 years old, and her voice is just incredible. We performed at the Palladium together, If I Were a Boy, and what an artist.
What an artist. Okay, so that was, all that he talks about Angelina Jordan. The whole interview is something like 15-20 minutes long, and I have it linked in the description. But just in general, this fleshes out quite a bit what we read in those print interviews, and it's making me feel really even more positive about his interaction with Angelina Jordan. Okay, Chris Walker with Big Angie Fan Channel in beautiful Hawaii.
It's a little too late for you to come back. Say it's just a mistake, think I forgive you like that. If you thought I would wait for you, you thought but you're just a boy, and you don't understand. Oh yeah, how it feels to love a girl. Someday you wish you were a better man. You don't listen to her. You don't care how it ends. When you lose the one you want, 'cause he's taking you for granted. And everything you had got destroyed. But you're just a boy. Toby, everyone, give it up for Toby.